There are small nuances of the brand that make it the luxury brand that it is, but at the same time, we're kind to the planet and the people that, we work with throughout the supply chain. And so that's something that distinguishes us from any other brand. Like we want to give people who are luxury goods consumers the option to do good while looking good.
Welcome to Mindful Businesses, presented by Sarani, and I'm your host, Vidya Iyer. In our podcast, we bring to you brands which are mindful in their practices and processes. A mindful business adopts and employs sustainable social, economic, and environmental practices. We continue our journey through India, where we came across several creators and designers of sustainable fashion. Today, we have with us Mayura Dauda Shah, founder of Mayu, luxury created sustainably. Welcome, Mayura.
Thank you, Vidya.
Let's talk a little bit about fish leather. What is the history of fish leather?
So fish leather has been a part of the Nordic culture. It's been a Nordic tradition to utilize discarded fish skins, after the fish has been eaten or in the process of prepping the fish to be eaten. There is certain variety where you have to de-skin fish. So the de-skinned byproduct of the de-skinning process is the fish skins, and that's what's upcycled into this beautiful, not just beautiful, but also durable and exotic looking leather. If you look at salmon leather, then it's resembling to snakeskin, just to give you an idea. But then there's a whole different varieties of fish skins that can be turned into beautiful fish leather.
So talk about your background. What was your journey? What made you think about this as a raw material to design? Do you have a design background?
This particular venture that I have started has very little to do with what I'm formally trained in. I'm a mechanical engineering graduate. I worked in the automotive industry for my internships. I did research in aeronautics. I did my full-time job in the aerospace industry building private jets. And then here I am doing something very different. But then, even then, there is a common thread. And that common thread is design. I may not be formally trained in product design or fashion design, but I believe that I have a passion for it. And anything that I have done in the past through my work experience or even in my academic training, I always found projects that had to do with product design to be very interesting. And so I think my calling always was to do something in the creative space. And so I found it in the form of fish leather goods that I'm now making and expanding into other sustainable and innovative material-based products.
So how did you come across fish leather? Is it a common raw material used in India?
No, this goes back to when I was in graduate school. I was doing my master's program in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and I took this trip with a bunch of friends to Iceland over Thanksgiving break in November 2015. And it was during this trip that I discovered this material and objects made out of this material at a few gift shops in Reykjavik. And so that really sparked my interest when I started inquiring and asking more questions about what is it and how is it made, and then even figured out that it's sustainable because it utilizes a byproduct of an existing food industry, right? And so that's when it really took off. My imagination took off, and I really wanted to bring this out and introduce it to the other parts of the world where it's still not very well known. That was how Mayu's story began.
So your background is in mechanical engineering. Do you think you use some skills of design? People who are who have an inclination to engineering also are fond of origami or those sort of design techniques. Are any of your products made with those design techniques? Or do you think your engineering degree influenced the design part of it?
No, I would very much give credit to my engineering background to what I do today. It may sound like it's very different from what I'm formally trained in, like I previously said, but there is a lot of commonality that I find. When I sit down to do my design on the drawing board, I'm always thinking from a user's point of view, right? So that human-centered design approach is very key to what we do at Mayu. So unlike many other brands out there that design just for aesthetics and sustainability even, one of our other key areas of focus is utility and functionality of the product. So that's where my mechanical engineering training, but also work experience helps me.
Give an example.
So if I have to do, say, designs of card slots or a bill slot, right, in a bag, then to really apply, what kind of tolerances and what kind of stitching technique and all of that I have had to learn as I go about, doing this business. But there's always this underlying, principle of how design really needs to come together in the form of a feasible product. You may have all the ideas in your head, but what is actually feasible to materialize into a physical design, right? That's where I think just the way we are trained to analyze problems, analyze designs, that's where my mechanical engineering skills, I would say, come into play.
Yeah, like you make a billfold which doesn't fit a note, or you can't slip your credit card, it's too tight, and so yes, so the problem solving training
does come to the rescue. But then I just thought of this other example. We did a card case recently, and in the card case design we've got a gusset on one side and not on both sides, so that it keeps whatever it is that you want to place in it. It could be your money, like the cash bills, or it could even be your receipts or whatever. Once it's placed, we want it to be secure. So then only that one side gusset will give you the option to expand and place more, but then it won't allow it to fall off because it's secured from one side and open from the other. And then there's also, I think, this design for manufacturing and design for assembly. These are concepts that I was introduced in my sophomore year of mechanical engineering, and those really have stuck with me, and I use those because I want to minimize waste. Fish leather, it may sound very cool. One of the reasons why it's not conventionally available is because people don't know much about it or know about it at all. The second reason being it's expensive to make because there are not many players out there in the market making the material. So when you have an expensive material, for example, it's $15 to $20 per square foot landed cost to me, right? So and I use multiple of them in one given average size bag. I have to be careful about how much wastage, or even if there is any, how to reuse it into something else.
I must add that you're a boiler maker.
Boiler up.
Boiler up. So where do you get your fish leather from? Do you make it in India, or do you have it imported? You mentioned you have it imported.
Yeah, so when I first discovered this material, when I first found out about it and started researching, I looked at all the different manufacturers out there, and there weren't many. So I said, why don't I try and make it in India? That was the first thought that I had. And so I found this scientist that has been working in the leather industry for many, many years, has a lot of deep knowledge. And so we worked together to develop it. And we were successful. But, that would have meant it's a completely different business model then. Then you're making the material and then you're distributing the material. You're no longer doing the finished goods design. So I did the value chain analysis as I was taught in school and figured out very quickly that there's more value in designing the products and making finished goods than making the material. So maybe making the material is something that comes to us later, some years down the line. But yeah, we did try to make it in India. We were successful, but then I chose to do an import of material because it's done more sustainably. They have nearly perfected the process, right? So it's best to leave it to those who know it best and do it best. So currently we're importing fish leather from Iceland and Germany.
So is there a particular kind of fish which is conducive to be making fish leather? Yeah,
so one of the important criteria is to look at the size of the fish, right? You want your yield, which is the leather, to be as big as possible to be able to make it into something. So we are currently using salmon and that's also widely used for eating purposes, right? So salmon and wolffish, these are the two varieties that we are currently using because they have a bigger size, the variety, and it's also in normal use. So I would also like to clarify that we're not killing or fishing for the purposes of making leather. This is purely leather that is being made from discarded or byproducts of the fish processing industry.
So that's what also people who make leather say, right? They say we are a byproduct of the meat industry. Why is fish scales leather a better solution?
I think with the way eating patterns are evolving and changing, right? You may have heard of methane gas and how eating beef and eating, that is directly correlated to causing more pollution in the environment, in the atmosphere. As that is changing and changing towards the better, hopefully, I think there will be a reduction in that trend of seeing that coming out as a byproduct. Whereas fishing, I don't think any doctor will tell you do not consume fish, but might say don't consume red meat or beef, right? So that's one thing. But then the other angle is that when you compare the processes of making leather, fish leather, tanning consumes a lot less water than your conventional leather types. It also is more durable for the thickness that you see, right? So it's 8 to 9 times more durable because of the inherent property of how fish skins are designed. They go crisscross rather than up and down as in the case of cowhide or buffalo hide.
So you mentioned it's more durable than leather, right? Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so if you take fish skins, thickness is normally not as much as it would be in the case of cowhides. But if you say were to take the same thickness of cowhide as the fish skins, then fish skin does better on durability than cowhide.
How did you come up with the name Mayu? What does it mean to your brand?
My name is Mayura. So Mayu is obviously a short form of my name, and it's also what my loved ones call me, my friends, my family. But apart from that, it has a meaning which I think reflects what the brand stands for. So it's in Japanese, Mayu means gentleness and superiority. So Mayu as a brand is delivering and is promising to deliver superior quality goods, designs, ethical, sustainable, but then doing this by being gentle with the environment and the people.
So what are the products you make? What are the range of products that you make?
So we did our debut collection as a tribute to Iceland. So the debut collection is called the Golden Circle Collection. It's inspired from the stunning landscapes of Iceland that I witnessed on my first trip and then subsequently on my second trip when I went there just to check out the tanning process and how fish leather is made end to end. They say that in Iceland, every few seconds the scenery changes and vividly. It's very distinct what you see from one point in time to another. It almost gives you the feeling of being in different planets or distinct sceneries. And that's what stuck with me also when I was thinking about doing this design. So in that collection, we did a wallet on chain. So it's like a continental wallet, but slightly bigger, has lots of utility built into it. But, it's compact enough that you can take it from desk to drinks. That's what we like to say about our products. Anything that you see from our range, you can take from work to after work, to drinks after work or for dinner. And so we did the wallet on chain, we did a card case, and in the latest latest collection, La Movida, inspired by the Spanish culture, is it's a bigger assortment of products. We've got tech accessories, so phone cases and laptop sleeves. We also try and do unisex products because we believe that we want to design for all, but not in a very contrasting way. Yeah, so
gender specific way.
Yes. That's also a policy that we're trying to, put in place and adopt. And we're also doing bigger bags now. I've got a crossbody bag, a shoulder bag, and versatility is another principle we like to work on. So you can mix and match. The straps, colors vary from product to product, but are compatible with all of the bags. So it's a big range now. So a lot to offer.
So when did you start? 2 years?
We launched the brand. We went live with an online store in November last year, 2018.
So just about a year.
Yeah.
So your products were featured in some of the fashion weeks. Where and when and who were the brands they were accessorized with?
Yeah, so we did our first ever fashion show in Budapest, Hungary, a month after we launched. And this was in collaboration with a couple of brands that are Hungarian. And we're so grateful for this break and this opportunity that we got, because that really gave us that push into the international and the European fashion circuit. That the subsequent year, in this year, 2019, we were able to be in Paris during Paris Fashion Week and unveil our new collection. So we've been part of Global Sustainable Fashion Week as well. It happened last May in Budapest again. And so it's been a whirlwind of fashion shows that have been exciting.
During my trip here to India, I've come across so many brands which are sustainable. Is there something in this environment that makes people recycle or be sustainable? Growing up in India, I remember everybody recycled, regardless of the social economic class. You recycled the brown paper bags, which you got the grocery in, the plastic pouches you got your milk in. What else has changed now? Because people went from just going and just giving the recycling to the recycler to now creating, designing lovely products. Has anything changed in the mindset or the government, legislature? What has changed?
I think it's a combination of things, but I think that it is, for India, I think in the Indian context, it's going back to the roots. Like you rightly said, we have been doing this. This has been a part of our culture. It's just that somewhere in the middle, we got lost and carried away with industrialization. And now that everyone around the world has woken up to climate change and its ill effects that we see in the form of natural calamities and damage, that we now think it's a cool thing to be a sustainable brand, and sustainability has become this buzzword, and there's so much greenwashing, and it's that. But at the end of it, the net effect that I'd like to see and be grateful for is that at least people are talking about it, are now open to read about it and accept it as part of their lifestyles, right? And so what if it is cool? Cool is what people want. So it's great. And like you said, India is now seeing a lot of fashion labels that are adopting sustainability as a design principle also. But I think we always had this. I mean, if you look at kalamkari, you look at any of our textiles and fabrics and the way we did our embroideries, right? Like way back. We did it all with natural components put together, natural fibers, natural colors. And it's just, a cycle. It's coming back full circle now. And it's good to see that. And it's great to be a part of that change.
So you've applied for the B Corp and Positive Luxury. It's a sustainable fashion certification. Have you been certified, or? We're
still in the process of, there's a long screening process. So we're in the process of getting it, and hopefully we shall be certified in 2020.
So what are the future developments that you have? Are you restricting to just fish sales, or are you moving on or creating more? products with different materials?
Yeah, so fish leather will continue to remain at the core of our brand because that's what really gave us the head start, right, into what I wanted to create with Mayu as a brand. But recently, when we did our new collection, we launched a vegan accessories line as well, and that is made from the fibers of pineapple leaves. It's a GOTS certified material, also has PETA vegan certification on it. So we were quite excited when we first found out about it, tested it on our designs, and it worked brilliantly. So we had to do something with that. You know, even within the whole sustainability sphere, there is a strong group of people that are looking to go completely animal free, and veganism is, you know, growing in all parts of the world, and so we're happy to be a part of that. And we did that with Pinatex. That's the material we use. It's again a material that we import from the UK, and going forward we do plan to introduce newer and more I would say unconventional materials, but those that are interesting enough for people to buy, accept in their lifestyles, and talk about it. You know, we like to look at our products and the materials that we use in our products as a conversation starter. Even, you know, there's a story behind every detail that you see on the design of our product, on even the materials that we decide to use for our products. So you'll be seeing an exciting range of materials and also products coming out soon.
So we were talking about how there are so many sustainable brands now. How do you distinguish yourself from the others? Say the Gucci's of the world. I'd love to compare you to that. So Mayu is a luxury brand. Mayu is a sustainable luxury brand, right? So we try and place our products in the segment where you normally would find high quality, premium, exotic products, right? Our products check all the boxes there are. We have silk lining inside our products, each of our products. We do a brilliant quality of hardware even, which is pure brass alloy coated with light gold, which is our signature color, brand color. And so there are small nuances of the brand that make it the luxury brand that it is. But at the same time, we're kind to the planet and the people that, you know, we work with throughout the supply chain. And so that's something that distinguishes us from any other brand. Like we want to give people who are luxury goods consumers the option to do good while looking good. So you talked about the silk lining. So are silkworms harmed in that, or?
No. So this is cruelty-free silk that we buy from India, and that also is dyed using natural colors, and that makes up the lining of our product.
So where are your products sold? How can one buy a clutch purse from Mayu?
Yeah, so we are currently selling our products on our own online shop. We also have other online retail partners that we work with. There are a couple of UK-based retailers, Aquem, Wolf and Badger. One of them even has a store in London, so we're available at their King's Cross flagship store in London, and we're also available in New York in the Soho neighborhood at a couple of stores, Dreams and Wolf and Badger again. We're an interesting retail collaboration that we've made recently is with a heritage property in Budapest was converted into this grand hotel, which is now operated by Hyatt. So we're part of their gift shop, and we're also available at one of the stores on the main high-end shopping street in Budapest called the Berlin store. And the plan is to expand into more of these retail outlets that are very selective about what they carry, you know, as their range. So we're very selective when it comes to picking our stockists. The next place I think on the map would be Central and Western Europe. We're looking at Amsterdam and a couple of other interesting cities to be a part of, because Amsterdam, I've spent some time there, and I think that it's an interesting city because it brings so many diverse people together, young people, but also people who are there to make a change, want to make a mark. And these are the people who will value and appreciate the story of Mayu or the journey of Mayu. And we've already been receiving great feedback. We were featured recently in one of the top fashion magazines in Amsterdam as we were listed as one of the top 3 sustainable luxury fashion labels. So it was Stella McCartney, followed by Mayu and EcoAlf. So that was a recent thing, and we're very proud of that.
Congratulations. So how did you access these markets sitting in India? Just a lot of emails?
It's a lot of remote work that I have to do in my day-to-day work. So yes, lots of emails, lots of cold calling even, and it's good to see. It's gratifying to see that it's showing results. People are finding this concept interesting. People are appreciating the value we're bringing forth through our designs and what we do, and the values that this brand holds. And I'm only hoping for the best ahead.
Thank you, Mayura, for coming on our show and showing how different and creative materials can be used sustainably in a luxury brand.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you for having me.
If you're a creator of a mindful brand or would like to recommend a mindful brand to be featured on our show, send us a message on our Facebook or Instagram page. We recorded this podcast at Radio Vani studio in Mumbai, India. Tatum Gale composed the music for this podcast. This is Vidya Iyer for Mindful Businesses.